Hello and very welcome everyone to this session of the Ancient History Previous Year Questions Part 7. In today's session, we are going to discuss some of the other questions related to the ancient history, and we will see that what type of questions we got in the exams earlier and what kind of questions could come into your exams that are coming further. Before we start, we will also take care about writing the notes of the topics which we are discussing in this particular session. We will also take care about the things that are important and relevant for your with our exams. So keep your notebook handy and just start answering the questions with me. So before we start, these are the topics I got covered for you. The topics are Gupta and post-Gupta Empire, South Indian dynasties, Chola, Chalukya, Pallava, and Sangam. And at last, I will summarize all the things that we have learned in this session. Before we start, the images used in our slide deck are for educational purpose only. We respect intellectual property rights of the original creators and owners of these images. If you are the owner of any of the images used in this deck and have any concerns or issues, please contact us at sathi@iitk.ac.in and we shall remove the images. Okay, so first news that we have with us today is which era is called the Golden Age of Ancient India. So you have your time, and particularly so that you can answer me this question. This question is quite good and important one. So options are Mauryan Empire, Chola Empire, Gupta Empire, or the Kushan Empire. So just try to answer me which of the following empire was known as the golden period of ancient India. So take your time. And I hope you got this one right. The answer of this question is the Gupta Empire, 4th century. So the Gupta age, 4th century in ancient India, has been called the golden age of India because of many achievements in the field of arts, science, and literature that Indians made under the Guptas. If we talk about the Gupta Empire, so Gupta Empire is basically established by Sri Gupta around 250 BC, 250 AD, and it remained in the India till 550 AD. It was one of the vast empire. It came after the Kushan Empire, and during a ruler's time, that was Chandragupta II. He was one of the most famous king of Gupta Empire. He has two capitals at that time. One was Patliputra, and the second capital which he transferred to was Ujjain. And he was known as Vikramaditya. And during his reign, there were a lot of people who were known as the nine gems of his particular empire, and they were particularly skillful persons in different type of things like writing poems, stories, and mathematics, science, and technology, and all that. So particularly if we talk about them, so they particularly because of them, this particular era was known as the golden age of the ancient India. If you need to talk about the golden age of architecture in India, so that is the period of Shah Jahan. Remember that. Who ascended the Gupta throne after Chandragupta first? So options are Brahmagupta, Samudragupta, Shudrak, or Shrigupta. So take your time and answer the question. And hope you got this one right, guys. So the answer of this question is Samudragupta. So after Chandragupta first, Samudragupta took over the reign of the Gupta Empire. He ascended the throne in 335 AD. If we talk about Samudragupta, so Samudragupta was famously known as Kaviraj because he was shown playing veena on his coins. And apart from that, he was also known as particularly apart from Kaviraj, he was known as Napoleon of India, according to Vincent Arthur Smith. And apart from that, he was also particularly known as one more person. That is he was famous as Lichavi Duhitra because his mother was particularly related to Lichavis. So that is why Samudragupta called himself Lichavi Duhitra. And the war he fought that are written in a particular type of poem or inscription that is called Prayag Prashasti. So Prayag Prashasti is basically written by Harishen, and it is written on the pillar that is called Allahabad pillar. So remember all these things as well. Who was Harshvardhan's court poet? So just take your time and try to find the answer. So options are Jaydev, Banbhat, Chandbardai, or Bilhana. So I hope you got this one right. So the answer of this question is Banbhat. So Banbhat was the court poet of Harshvardhan. He was a scholar of Sanskrit. Harsh Charitra and Kadambari were composed by him. Chand Bardai was the court poet of Prithviraj Chauhan. He composed Prithviraj Raso. Jaydev was the court poet of Lakshman Sen. He composed Git Govind. So remember this particular name, Lakshman Sen, is very important. He composed Jaydev was important. Jaydev was in the court of Lakshman Sen in the Sena Empire, and he composed the Git Govind. And remember that Harshvardhan himself was also a novelist, and he wrote three important novels: Ratnavali, Priyadarshika, and Naganand. And apart from that, if you need to know about Buddha Charitra, so Buddha Charitra was written by Ashwa Ghosh, and he was in the court of Kanishk. Remember that as well. So Manbhat was in the court of Harshvardhan, the last ruler of Vardhan dynasty, also known as Pushyabhuti dynasty. After Harsha's death around the 7th century, Dash came into dominion of India. Who are they? Options are Rajput, Angrez, Turk, or Mughal. So take your time and answer. And I hope you got this one right as well. So the answer of this question is Rajput. So after the death of Harshvardhan, his entire empire was divided into small states, in which most of the states were ruled by Rajputs. From 7th to 12th century in Indian history, it is known as Rajput period. So after the Harshvardhan's death, Rajputs particularly ruled over the major part of the northern empire till 12th century, later 12th century AD. And if we talk about a particular capital of Harshvardhan, so he transferred his capital to Kannauj. Earlier, his capital was Thaneshwar. Later, he transferred his capital to Kannauj. And if we talk about another thing related to this, so Kannauj struggle was also there. So Kannauj struggle happened in that particular struggle is also known as tripartite struggle. And Kannauj struggle, if we talk about, was fought between three kingdoms. One is Gujjar Pratihar, another one is Palas, and the third one is Rashtrakutas. Chandragupta II extended the Gupta Empire to Gujarat in the year dash AD. So it is a quite good question. So try to find out the answer. Options are 930 AD, 903 AD, 309 AD, or 390 AD. So take your time and answer the question. So if you are not able to answer this question, just use your common sense and you can find out the answer of this question very easily. If you are talking about Gupta Empire, so Gupta Empire was founded in 250 AD and remained till 550 AD. And till the time 319 AD, there was a king called Chandragupta I. So if Chandragupta I was in 319 AD, so there is no point that it would be Chandragupta II who will be there in 309. So the option 309 is incorrect. And apart from that, I just said that particularly the empire remained from 250 AD to 550 AD. So 930 and 903 will also be eliminated. So the only option that is left, and that is the answer, is 390 AD. So Chandragupta II extended the Gupta Empire to Gujarat in 390 AD. And remember that if someone asks you about the Gupta era, so Gupta era started in 319 AD. And that was started by Chandragupta I, who became the king after Shrigupta and Ghatotkach. Another one, the Chinese traveler Itzing had learned Sanskrit for 3 years in. Options are Tamra Lipti, Nalanda, Patliputra, or Bodh Gaya. So take your time and answer. And I hope once again you got this one right, guys. So the answer of this question is Tamra Lipti. So Itzing was a Chinese Buddhist traveler. He came to India in the late 17th century, 7th century, sorry. He came to India via the sea route to the south. While reaching Sumatra and Lanka, he reached Tamra Lipti, where he stayed for 3 years and studied Sanskrit. So remember his name, the Chinese traveler Itzing learned Sanskrit for 3 years in Tamra Lipti. And apart from him, Huenzang, if we talk about Huenzang, he learned Sanskrit and became teacher in the same institute, that was Nalanda. Nalanda was created by Kumar Gupta. Another question, guys. So, after the death of Harshvardhan, the kings of Pratihar, Pal, and Rashtrakuta dynasty fought with each other to gain suzerainty over. Options are Badami, Kannauj, Delhi, and Gujarat. Just 2 questions back, I gave you the answer. So, try to find out the answer of this question in your memory, what I said, and take your time. And I hope you got this one right, guys. So, the answer of this question is Kannauj. So after Harsh, became the center of various powers. Pala, Pratihars, and Rashtrakutas started struggle over Kannauj. Tripartite struggle lasted for nearly 200 years. As a result of the tripartite struggle, Kannauj finally became the possession of Gurjar Pratihar rulers. So that is why remember that Kannauj was particularly the center where all the three kingdoms wanted to acquire the particular place. And the most famous king or the particular king of Gurjar Pratihar, who controlled Kannauj for the maximum number of years, all between them, was Mr. Mihir Bhoj. So Mihir Bhoj was the particular king of Gurjar Pratihar who particularly controlled the Kannauj capital for a very long time. Why Kannauj was important? Because Kannauj was at the center in northern part of India, and the Silk Route, the Arabian Sea, and the Bay of Bengal all are equidistant from each other from this point. So it is quite important if you can control Kannauj, so you can control the particular these points as well. You have a better reach to these points, as well as Kannauj is a place where it is in today's world it is in Uttar Pradesh, and we know that this is the place which particularly also can be called as a Doab, because these are the Tarai regions, because these are the most fertile regions of India, and that is why it is also helpful for agriculture, and apart from that, mining also. So that is why this particular place, Kannauj, is that much important. At the beginning of the 4th century, the Gupta established a small empire in, options are Vatapi, Awadh, Magad, or Malwa. So take your time and answer. And you're right. The answer of this question is Magad. So a new dynasty emerged in Magad, North India, in the 4th century. The name of this dynasty was Gupta dynasty. The founder of this dynasty was Shrigupta. Credit of restoring the political unity of Magad that was destroyed after fall of the Mauryan dynasty goes to Gupta dynasty. So they came almost 500 years after the Mauryan Empire, after the fall of Mauryan Empire. And particularly, if we talk about Gupta dynasty, so they have particularly united the whole India, approximately the northern part of India and major part of East India under one unity. And the most famous kings were like Chandragupta first, Samudragupta, Chandragupta second, Kumar Gupta, Shrigupta. And till the time Shrigupta came, they have controlled the empire very efficiently. But during the time of Kumargupta and Shrigupta, the Hunds started attacking on Gupta Empire, and later on the weak rulers started taking the throne. So that is why the Gupta Empire fall down. And after that, Vardhan dynasty came into the being. So remember the particular place from where they started the empire, that was Magad. Which of the following city was the capital of Gupta dynasty? So options are Patliputra, Kaushal, Kashi, or Ujjain. So take your time. And I hope you got this one right. The answer is Patliputra. After the fall of Kushan, several states emerged in North India, of which the Gupta dynasty in Magad was also one of them. Founder of this dynasty was Shrigupta, who assumed the title of Maharaja, who was followed by Ghototkach. The actual founder of Gupta dynasty is believed to be Chandragupta first. The capital of the Gupta was Patliputra, that is modern Patna. Later on, during the time of Chandragupta II, the capital was transferred from Patliputra towards Ujjain. So do remember that. And particularly Patliputra was the capital of Gupta dynasty at that time. Who was the actual founder of the Gupta Empire? Options are Chandragupta II, Samudragupta, Shrigupta or Ghatotkacha. So take your time. And yes, you're right. The answer is Shrigupta. So after the fall of Kushan, several states emerged in North India, of which Gupta dynasty in Magad was also one of them. The founder of this dynasty was Shrigupta, who assumed the title of Maharaja, who was followed by Ghatotkacha. The actual founder of Gupta dynasty is believed to be Chandragupta first. The capital of the Gupta was Patliputra, or also known as the Patna. So remember that. So who was the actual founder of Gupta Empire? So that was particularly Shrigupta. Along with Ghatotkacha, they started the empire. But if we talk about this question can be asked in a different way also. Please remember that and listen to me very carefully. If a question is asked to you that who was a real founder of Gupta Empire, then you will say that the real founder was Chandragupta first, because he started the Gupta era in 319 AD, and he was the one who particularly gave the name Gupta Empire. Okay, so remember that. Which Chinese traveler visited India during the Gupta period? Options are Huizang, Payan, Itsing, or Li Xiu. So just take your time, and I hope this question would not worry you in any way. So take your time. And I hope you got this one right. The answer of this question is Payan. So Chinese traveler Payan came to India during the Gupta period. The purpose of his trip was to find Buddhist manuscripts and Buddhist memories. Payan gave importance to visit the places which were related to Buddhism. So Payan, particularly if we talk about, was a person, a Chinese traveler who visited India during the Gupta period. And if we talk about the Payan, so Fayan came during the time of Chandragupta II. Huenzang came in the court of Harshvardhan. Remember them. Kanchi was the capital of. So Kanchi was the capital of which of the following rulers or empires? So options are Rashtrakutas, Cholas, Pallavas, or Chalukyas. So this is a question from the South Indian history of ancient India. So just try to answer this question. And I hope you are able to answer the question very correctly. So the answer is Pallavas. So you can see in this map that Pallavas, this is the place where the Pallavas ruled, and Kanchi near the coastal area of today, in today's world, near the coastal area of the boundaries of Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. Kanchi is there, and Kanchi was the capital of Pallava dynasty founded by Simha Vishnu. So remember the name. So the answer is Pallavas. So Pallavas, Cheras, Cholas, these are the very important empires of South India. We need to learn a lot about them. What was the capital of Hoshiala Kingdom? So options are Devgiri, Dwara Samudra, Mysore, Kalyani. So take your time and answer the question, guys. And I hope the answer you are saying is correct. So the answer is Dwara Samudra. So Hoshiala Empire was the prominent South Indian empire from the 11th to 14th centuries and ruled mostly the modern day Karnataka. Dwara Samudra was the capital of Hoshiala dynasty, and if you remember, Recently, the 46th summit of UNESCO was held in India in New Delhi in July. And if we talk about the UNESCO sites in India, so last year, the 41st and 42nd UNESCO site were declared. The 41st was Shantiniketan and 42nd was the Hoshiala temples. And recently, 43rd site from Assam, a particular burial site, was declared as the UNESCO World Heritage Site. So currently, if we talk about, so Dwara Samudra is particularly the capital of this kingdom, that is Hoshala Kingdom. And remember, which from when to when they particularly ruled. So they ruled from 1050 to 1355 AD. From the given options, which dynasty developed shipping ventures in Southeast Asia? So try to answer this one. This is the particular very important question. So options are Chalukya, Gupta, Chera, or Chola. So try to answer this one. And I hope the answer you are saying is right. So the answer is Chola dynasty. So Chola Empire existed between Pennar and Kaveri rivers. So Kaveri river, as we know, is starts from Karnataka and through flowing through Tamil Nadu, it falls into the Bay of Bengal. And Pennar is also a river that is particularly important in Tamil Nadu region. So between these two rivers, the Chola Empire existed, and this dynasty was established by Vijayala. So the Chola Navy comprises the naval forces of Chola Empire along with several other naval arms of the country. Chola Navy played vital role in the expansion of the Chola Empire, including the conquest of the Ceylon island, naval raids on Sri Vijaya, Rajendra Chola surgical strike in Southeast Asia was a geo-strategic maneuver. It was probably India's first surgical strike. So remember that Chola Empire that particularly ruled between the Kaveri and Pennar River has particularly the most famous empire in India and the first of its type that they have introduced the shipping things or naval things in Indian kingdoms. Later on, during the modern time or medieval time, the Marathas came up with this idea to create a naval force, and that is why Shivaji Maharaj is currently known as the father of Indian Navy. Remember his name as well. Which native Indian dynasty issued their own coins with portrait of their rulers on them? So options are Peshwa, Rashtrakuta, Satwahan, or Pandya. So just try to answer this one. And I hope you are particularly giving the right answer and just to take your answer. And this is the answer of this question. So Satwahan dynasty issued their own coins with the portrait of their rulers. And remember one more thing. Satwahan was the first kingdom that has introduced lead coins in India. So Satwahan issued coins with portraits of their rulers on them. Satvahans were also the one that to issue lead coins. Other than this, they also issued silver, copper, bronze coins. This dynasty was founded by Simuk with its capital Pratisthana. And if we talk about which kingdom was the one who introduced the golden coins in India. So the one kingdom that introduced the golden coins in India was Kushan Empire. And before that, the first one who have introduced India to gold coins was Indo-Greek. The most famous king of Indo-Greek was was Milind and also known as Menander. And if we talk about the lead coins, so they were introduced by Satvahan and also the king's face portrait coins. According to Chola rock edicts, the land grants made to Gurukuls was known as so Brahma Dea Velan Vagai Pali Chandam Shalabhoga. So just take your time. This is a question that is quite a moderate to difficult. So try to figure out the answer. And I hope the answer you got was right. So Shala Bhoga. So according to Chola rock edict, the land grants made to Gurukuls was known as Shala Bhoga. Brahmdya was a tax-free land gift to Brahmins in the early medieval India. Vela Vagai, land of non-Brahmadya or peasant property. Pali Chandam, land are all those lands that are donated to Jain institution. So remember, Shala Bhoga was the particular land piece that is dedicated to or donated to Gurukuls. Virupaksha temple at Hampi is dedicated to Lord Shiv, Lord Ganesh, Vishnu, or Brahma. So take your time. And your answer is Lord Shiva. So as we know that Hampi is basically come from a word called Hampa, and this particular word represents the wife or the companion of Lord Shiva. And so that is why remember that particular Hampi city or the most of the temples of Hampi are majorly dedicated to Lord Shiva. So Virupaksha temple is oldest and principal temple in Hampi, Karnataka. It is located on the bank of river Tungbhadra. Remember, the Hampi city is situated beside Tungbhadra river. It has been important pilgrimage center for of the Lord worshipping of Lord Shiva. Krishna Devaraya was a major patron of this temple. Lakana Dandesha, who was the chieftain of Devaraya II of Vijayanagar Empire, has commissioned this temple. So Hampi was basically the very famous and important city of India at that time during the Vijayanagar Empire. And Vijayanagar Empire capital was Vijayanagar city. And apart from that, if we talk about Vijayanagar Empire, the Vijayanagar Empire started in 1336 AD and lasted till 1565 till the Battle of Talikota. King Simha Vishnu belonged to which dynasty? Options are in front of you. Take your time and answer. And your answer is Pallava. So King Singh Vishnu was the founder of Pallava dynasty. Its capital was in Kanchipuram. Some other important rulers of Pallava dynasty were Mahendra Varman, Narsimha Varman, Bharavi, the author of Kiratarujuniyam, lived in the court of King Singh Vishnu. The last ruler of Pallava dynasty was Aparajitvarman. So remember their name, and the answer of this question is Pallava. The rulers Pulkeshin I and Pulkeshin II were related to which of the following dynasty? It is a quite simple question. So answer is so take your time and answer the question. And answer of this question is Chalukya dynasty. So the ruler Pulkeshin I and II related to Chalukya dynasty. The ruler of this dynasty were Pulkeshin I, Kirtivarman, and Pulkeshin II, Vikramaditya, Vinayaditya, and Vijayaditya. Pulkeshin II was the greatest ruler of all these. Chalukya dynasty of Vatapi was established by the first ruler Jaya Singh. And if we talk about Pulkeshin II, so Pulkeshin II was the one who defeated Harshvardhan or controlled the expansion of Harshvardhan in 619 AD when Harshvardhan was on his way toward expansion towards South India. Pulkeshin II was the most illustrious ruler of which dynasty? Simple one, just answer the question, take your time. And yes, you are right. The answer of this question is Chalukyas. So Chalukyas, the ruler of Pulkeshin I and II, related to Chalukya dynasty. The ruler of this dynasty were Pulkeshin I, Kirtivarman, Pulkeshin II, Vikramaditya, Vinayaditya, Vijayaditya. Pulkeshin II was the greatest ruler of all these. Chalukya dynasty of Vatapi was established by the first ruler, Jaya Sinha. Whom of the following became the very powerful in the 7th and 8th century and Kanchipuram was their capital? We just did this question regarding the Kanchi. So answer the question, take your time. And I hope you got this one right, guys. So the answer of this question is Pallavas. So Pallavas were established as a powerful dynasty in the 7th and 8th century, which whose original founder is believed to be Singha Vishnu. He assumed the title of Avani Simha, Lion on Earth. The capital of Pallavas was Kanchipuram. Narasimha Varman II constructed the Kailash Nath and Airavateshwar temples of Kanchi and the coastal temple of Mahabalipuram. So, answer of this question is Pallavas. What was the capital of Pandya dynasty? Gaya, Kanchipuram, Madurai, or Dwara Samudra? So, take your time and answer this question as well. And I hope your answer is right. So, the answer is Madurai. So, the capital of Pandya dynasty, the history of Tamil Nadu is mainly of three dynasties: Chola, Chera, Pandya. Capital of Pandyas was named Madurai, situated on the bank of river Vaigai. So remember the name? Madurai was the capital of Pandya dynasty. Whom of the following ruled the region around Madurai and attained supremacy in the 13th century? So options are Rajput, Chola, Chera, or Pandya. So take your time and answer this question, guys. And your answer is quite right. The answer is Pandya. We just did this question. And the rulers of Pandya dynasty ruled Madurai. History of the Pandya dynasty is divided into three phases. Pandya kingdom of Sangam period. First Pandya kingdom established by Kadun Kadnu Gon. Second Pandya kingdom was established by Sundar Pandya. Sangam literature provided information about Pandya dynasty. Madurai is the headquarters city in the state of Tamil Nadu in South India. The city is known for its ancient temples. The main attraction here is the Meenakshi temple. So remember the name. The answer is Pandya. What is the main occupation of merchants known as shroffs, Seth, Sahukar, Mahajan, Cheti since ancient times? So the answer of this question, just take your time and answer this. So I think you must have heard this name, Sahukar, in your life. So Sahukars are basically related to banking. So basically, if we talk about the ancient times, the main business of merchant known as Shroff, Seth, Sahukar, Mahajan, and Cheti was a operate banking system. The money lender or Mahajan used to give loans to the people which were returned after certain time. These people ran their business, commerce successfully. People used to buy items of their need to mortgaging or selling their precious gems, etc. So remember, the Sahukars, Shroff, Mahajan, or Cheti, or Seth, they all were particularly related to banking system. Whom of the following Chola king is considered the greatest? Pulketion second, Raj Sinha, Karikala, Nandi Varman. So take your time, guys. And yes, you're right. The answer is Karikala. So the early capital of Cholas was northern Manalur, later became Koryaru and Thanjore. The most powerful ruler of this dynasty was Karikala. He defeated 11 kings, including Pandya Chera, in the battle. Karikal established a city called Puha Patan Kaveri Patnam on the banks of river Kaveri. The main port of the Cholas was Kaveri Patnam, and the state emblem was the tiger. So remember the name Kari Kala. So Kari Kala was the particular place which is the most Karikala is the most famous king of the Chola kings, and he was successful in defeating all the related kings of all the important kings of Chola, Cheras, and Pandyas as well. Which king of Pallava dynasty also wrote Sanskrit plays? Options are Raja Raj Chola, Mahendra Varman, Raj Sinha, or Vikramaditya. So take your time. And the answer is quite right. The answer of this question is Mahendra Varman. So Mahendra Varman, Mahendra Varman first was the king of Pallava dynasty. Mahendra Varman composed important texts like Mata Vilasa Prahasan and Bhagavada Zuka, wrote many plays in Sanskrit as well. So remember the name Mahendra Varman, and he was the most famous king of Pallava dynasty, and he was famous for writing Sanskrit plays. Which Chalukya king defeated King Harsh of Kannauj? Options are Siddharaj Solanki, Vastupala, Pulkeshin II, or Mulraj. I don't think this question is any kind of difficult, so try to answer the question. And the answer of this particular question is Pulkeshin II. So Pulkeshin II, the Chalukya ruler of Badami, defeated King Harsh of Kannauj on the banks of river Narmada in 618 AD. Imperialist ambitions of the two kings made the conflict inevitable. So remember the name, the Pulkeshin II, and he defeated Harshvardhan. And Harshvardhan, after that particular battle, has remained on north of Narmada River and controlled the northern empire. And Pulkeshin remained in the southern part of India. And this particular battle happened in 618 AD on the banks of Narmada. Who was the last ruler of Chola dynasty? Raja Raja Chola, Rajendra Chola III, Vijay Lea Chola, or Kulu Tunga Chola III? So take your time and answer this question. The answer of this question is Rajendra Chola III. So Rajendra Chola III was the last ruler of Chola dynasty. Vijayala established the Chola dynasty in 850 AD. Capital was Tanjore. So remember, Rajendra Chola III was the last ruler of Chola dynasty. Chola king won the Persian conquest of this island of Maldives. Options Karikala, Raja Raja, Mahendra, or Vikram. Just answer this question, guys. And the answer is Raja Raja. So Raja Raja had conquered the island of Maldives under the Persian conquest. The first victory of Raja Raja was Kerala, while the last victory was Maldives. So Raja Raja was the person who conquered the Maldives island, and particularly he was from the Chola Empire. Which kingdom were ruled by the early Chera dynasty? Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Bengal, Odisha, Arunachal, Sikkim, Maharashtra, Gujarat. So I don't think this will anywhere worry you, and try to answer this question. And the answer of this question is Tamil Nadu and Kerala. So kings of the early Chera dynasty ruled Tamil Nadu and the states of Kerala. The reign of Chera begins before the Sangam literature era. It included the territories of modern Travancore, Cochin, Malabar, Coimbatore, and Salem districts. So remember, Tamil Nadu and Kerala were the particular places that were ruled by the early Chera dynasty. And it is a simple question, I guess. Which Indian king used naval power to conquer parts of East Asia? Options are Akbar, Krishnadev Rai, Rajendra Chola, or Shivaji Maharaj. So just try to answer this one. And this is also not very difficult. The answer is Rajendra Chola. So Indian king Rajendra Chola used naval power to conquer Southeast Asia in the history of India. Only the Chola dynasty paid much attention to the navy. He assumed the title of Gangai Kond Chola. And also, if we talk about the father of Indian Navy, so that is Shivaji Maharaj, because he particularly created the naval power of India as a first kingdom, and this was done by the Maratha Empire. So that was done under the leadership of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. So let's summarize what we have learned, guys. So first one is the golden age of India. So Gupta Empire is recognized as the golden age of ancient India. Gupta dynasty, Samudragupta succeeded Chandragupta first as the ruler of the Gupta Empire. The capital of Gupta dynasty was primarily Patliputra. Actual founder of the Gupta Empire is identified as Shrigupta. Harshvardhan, Banbhat was the court poet of Harshvardhan. After Harsha's death, control over Kannauj was contested by various dynasties including Pratihars, Palas and Rashtrakutas. Fayan and Idzing are notable Chinese travelers who visited India during the Gupta period and studied Buddhism. Kanchipuram was the capital of Pallavas, while Madurai was the significant of Pandya dynasty. Chola dynasty was known for its naval power, notably under Rajendra Chola, who expanded it into Southeast Asia. Pulkeshi II was a prominent ruler of Chalukya dynasty and defeated Harsh of Kannauj. Chola kings are noted for their advancement in trade and military conquests, including in the Maldives. Merchants in ancient India had various titles such as Shroff, Seth, Saukar, and Mahajan, primarily engaging in banking activities. The Pallava rulers, especially Mahendravarman, contributed to Sanskrit literature by writing plays. And that's it in this session, guys. I hope you gained a lot of knowledge regarding the South Indian empires and North Indian empires and later part of ancient history. And the time we will meet once again in next session, we will discuss some more things related to the ancient history. And now we start moving towards the medieval part of India, of history of India, and we will see that how the invaders came to India. So till the time we meet, bye bye, take care everyone, and see you soon.